Okay, take 3.
Hi, today I'm taking very simple ingredients.
Start again, I have to put that down when you start talking.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Hi, today I'm taking very simple ingredients and making something very special. I've invited a very special guest to help me out. I'll be making my great-grandmother ravioli recipe and crepe recipe. Our focus today is ricotta cheese. We're going to use savory and sweet fillings for both recipes. We'll start with our ravioli, my great-grandmother's dough, a very hearty marinara sauce to go with it, and a very savory crepe recipe. For dessert, we're going to do a sweet ricotta cream with chocolate chips, a little vanilla, and a really nice blackberry sauce to go over it. So stay with me, come into my kitchen, and let me share my passion for food with you.
That was perfect. Hold on.
So now we're going to get started making my great-grandmother's marinara sauce. We start off with a little bit of olive oil in the pan. Probably about 1.5 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons. It's a feel. And take our onion and peel it. Where's my knife? We're going to do this over here. 1 onion, a medium to large size onion you want to use. And 2 cloves of garlic. Now you don't have to be crazy and finely chop this because this will get, we're going to puree this to make it a really nice, hearty, but silky sauce at the same time. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Our garlic. You want really fresh garlic. Garlic in general should always be feel a little bit tighter and heavier than it looks. That way you know it's really, really fresh. So just do a quick smash. And like I said, you don't have to cut this very finely because we're going to puree it. So you just want to take the paper off. And garlic should be nice and sticky if it's really fresh. So we want all this paper off. And I do, it's not necessary, but I like to take the very end of it off just for looks. Clean that up. And just a really rough chop. Let's get our heat going here, because you don't want to burn the oil. The point of this is not to brown this at all. You just want to saute them and have a very translucent feel to it. And let the oil heat up. When we come back, I'll throw the onion and garlic in and we'll get going. We're back. Now I'm just going to throw the onion and garlic that I just previously chopped right into the oil that's been warming. You want a little bit of a sizzle, but you don't want to brown this. You don't want any kind of caramelization or color on the onions and garlic at all. You want to turn that down to low and just gently mix them up and separate them. Just for a few seconds. Now while that's doing that, I have my crushed tomatoes here. Now ideally, if you're growing your own tomatoes in the summertime, you can use them. Plum tomatoes are really what you want to use. But through convenience now, you can get very good quality canned tomatoes. And just like that. Get rid of that. This has some basil in it too. So we're going to put these over here for right now and let these cook a little bit more. While that's doing, I have actually frozen basil from my garden from last year. and this works really well. You don't need fresh basil for this. The other ingredients that go in it are dried also. It's not necessary really to have fresh parsley and all that in this recipe. Okay, those are just about ready. Take my food processor and process this all together. This makes it a lot easier because I find that people tend to not like the chunky onions and garlic in the sauce. So what we're going to do is just pour these right in here. Very simply. And then we're going to take our plum tomatoes in the can, pour those in without making a mess. That's good. And our fresh frozen basil. Don't need all of this, probably about half of this. I just love that I grew it last year and you can still have the fresh flavors of the summer, even in the dead of winter. So now, just put our lid on and you really want to make sure it's, yeah, perfect. So now, we'll take our pan again that we just used and carefully, very carefully, pour it all back into the pan, like so. Don't want to waste anything. Ooh, made a little bit of mess there. It's done with that. Now, we're going to set this on the back burner. We want to simmer this. Simmer. Bring it to a foamy boil. Bring it to a foamy boil and then cover it and let it simmer for 30 minutes. Very simple. When we come back, we'll show you how we tie all the sauce together. But next up, we're going to show you my very special guest and start on our ravioli. Stay tuned.
Did you see me? Take 4.
Welcome back. Our tomatoes have simmered. Keep doing that. Welcome back. Our tomatoes and basil have simmered nicely with the onions and the garlic. Come to a nice thickened consistency. We're going to thicken it up a little bit more now by adding some tomato paste. And just get it in there. You're going to use a full can of water to this ratio to get the rest of the paste out, but to also loosen up the sauce and make it go a little bit further. And then I have a wonderful assortment of herbs to go in there. Get some water in here. Loosen that up. Don't want to waste anything. Waste not, want not. There we go. Come on. Fun of cooking is making a little bit of a mess. Get rid of that. Get that in there. Stir it a little bit. And now I have in here, very simply, salt, sugar, oregano, and parsley, and a little bit of cayenne pepper because you want to give it that little nice heat to it. I like spicy food, so sometimes I have to discipline myself not to use so much spice. That just goes in real simple, like that. Now we're going to give this a stir. Make sure everything's incorporated very nicely. And then we're going to let this simmer on, just forget about it really. Go for an hour, it can go for 3 hours, and it just gets better. Make sure all that paste is really incorporated in there. Turn up the heat a little bit. Let it come back to a moderate bubble. Not a boil, but it'll start spitting and popping, and that's the time when you want to turn it down, cover it, and just forget about it. Beautiful. There we go. All done. Next, we're going to move on to our ravioli, and I have a very special guest that I'd like you to meet. Stay tuned.
Close up of the filling. Yep.
Go ahead, Laura, smack it.
We're back, and now I have to introduce you to a very special guest. My mom, Carolyn, who's agreed to help me out today. A little reluctantly, I must add, but she's going to help me make my great-grandmother's ravioli recipe and crepe recipe. We're going to start with the filling first so that when we roll out the dough, filling's all ready to go. So, Ma, how you doing today?
I'm okay.
You're okay?
Yeah.
All right. So now first I'm going to cut some fresh parsley. Because the simplicity of this recipe really is the parsley, the pepper. You always mentioned how it was just such a wonderful, simple recipe that you didn't really need to go with any crazy.
No.
The simpler the better. That's often the case, is that simple food is often the best food. So don't have to be a fancy gourmet chef, which I'm not. I learned all of my wonderful recipes, home cooking from two great ladies, and that's my mom and my grandmother. So I'm very blessed in that sense. I'm just chopping up some fresh parsley. About a half a cup, quarter cup, half a cup. It's a feel. When my mom got this recipe from my grandmother, she had to kind of tie her down and literally have it written out and get her to write it down. And it was a little of this, it was a little of that. So I'm just gonna put the parsley right in our bowl. Parsley. And then some whole milk ricotta cheese. And this is about, again, it's a feel. When it comes together, it's the right consistency. And what did you say? It should be about like drop cookies, you said?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna take.
If it's too wet, it will
plop.
Leak out of the dough.
Yeah, and definitely don't want that to happen because then you'll have just really expensive pasta water and no ravioli to show for it. So that's about good for now, I think. We'll use that. And then we need some salt and pepper. Now the salt, because we have like grated Pecorino Romano cheese, you don't need a lot of salt. This is that's about good. We're gonna feel that and see if that's the right consistency. A pinch of salt. You don't need a lot. Shoulder. And the pepper is a full teaspoon. Because like I said, the parsley and the pepper combination here is really, really, really great. So that's that. I'm going to take our 2 eggs. Sorry forgot about the eggs. So
not a good idea.
Not a good idea to forget the eggs. Let me get one more bowl here because I like to make sure that my eggs. You sometimes can get a bad egg. My grandfather used to raise chickens, and you just always want to be sure that you get a good egg. Double yolk. So that's no good. Now we're going to put one of these in because the double yolk will actually screw up the dough. So we want to put him in with impeccably clean hands. And that's a single yolk. Beauty. Okay. We'll set that aside. Wash up, because I have eggs all over my hands. Okay. Now, just gonna mix all this up. So now tell me, when you and Grandma and Aunt Mimi and Aunt Connie used to make this recipe, was it always for a special occasion? The original recipe calls for something like over 100 ravioli, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
special occasions because it was time consuming and
you started in the morning, and then they would dry over the course of the day, and you'd eat them at night.
And pasta machines did not exist.
Well, and that's the other thing. If you have a modern pasta machine, you obviously can do this dough recipe much easier. But like I said, you're not making this every day, and you're going to make it with your family and take your time to make it. and talk with your family, make an event out of it. You know, that's what makes it special. So now this consistency, would you consider that about right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When we come back, we're gonna set this aside. When we come back, we're just gonna roll out the dough and get going on the ravioli. Stay tuned.
Ready?
Yep.
Hold on. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
We're back with my mom, and now we're gonna make the dough for the pasta, which is very simple. I've already have a tablespoon of salt in here, and we're gonna do 2.5 cups of flour, because we're actually cutting this recipe in half, because it does make quite a bit ravioli. So you really wanna make sure it's leveled off. So that's 1 cup, and 2 cups, 2 cups, and then to make my life easier, instead of guesswork, 1/2 cup measurement, and a little bit more, because like pastry, pasta dough is food science. It needs to be pretty accurate, otherwise you're gonna have a mess on your hands. So with a fork, and now I have warm water, which is 1/2 cup?
About a 1/2 cup.
About 1/2 cup. So we'll add that in. And then I have 2 large eggs that we've already cracked, nice and clean and pretty. I'm just gonna throw those in. Get rid of this. And then with your fork, lightly bring it together. You can use the well method on this, but I tend to find for sanitary reasons and for ease, using a large bowl is much, much easier. And you want to use a fork in the beginning because this dough can be very, very sticky. So you want to really bring it in until it just comes together. And then we're going to flour the board and we're going to roll it out. How did Grandma used to roll it out?
With a very long stick, almost like a broomstick.
A broomstick.
A broomstick.
They used to just, but probably got a really good workout.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can see it's coming together, and it's quite sticky. So you want to just get that off your fingers with impeccably clean hands that I just washed. Now, a cook's tool, his best tools, or her best